Most people spend their entire lives running after money, believing that a bigger paycheck will solve their problems. But let me tell you something only few understand. Money alone does not create wealth. True wealth begins in the mind. It begins with the philosophy you carry, the decisions you make, and the habits you form. You can earn a fortune and still feel trapped if your thinking is small and your actions are scattered. Imagine two people with the same income. One lives paycheck to paycheck, stressed and limited. The other quietly builds assets, invests wisely, and multiplies their freedom year after year. The difference is not luck, it's mindset. It's a commitment to thinking strategically, acting deliberately, and turning every dollar into a tool for your future. Today, I want to show you how to stop being a servant to money and start making money serve you. We'll explore why discipline beats desire, why clarity beats confusion, and why the small, consistent steps you take today will determine the size of your freedom tomorrow. The journey is simple, but it requires courage, focus, and the willingness to think differently than the majority. Ask yourself now, are you ready to stop working for money and start building wealth that lasts? I remember early in my career, I was working hard, living paycheck to paycheck, and constantly worried about bills. I thought the accumulation of dollars alone was the measure of success. It was only after I consciously reflected on what freedom meant to me that everything changed. I realized freedom was not about having a fancy car or a bigger house. It was about the ability to choose how I spent my time, to say yes to opportunities, and to invest in personal growth and relationships without fear. I grabbed a notebook and wrote down what freedom looked like for me. Mornings without alarms, the ability to travel, time to read and study, and the choice to help others without constraint. Then I asked a simple but powerful question. How can every dollar I earn move me toward this vision? That question became my compass. Every financial decision from that moment had a purpose. Now, practical steps to implement this philosophy are simple but require discipline. First, define your personal vision of freedom in vivid detail. Don't be vague. Write down the hours, activities, and experiences you want to have. Second, examine your current spending. Ask yourself whether each dollar you spend buys time, choice, or opportunity, or whether it simply feeds habits that offer no long-term value. Third, align your income with that vision. Allocate portions to build assets that generate ongoing income, to develop skills and education, and to ensure your future is secure. This is how ordinary income transforms into extraordinary wealth, not merely in dollars, but in freedom, options, and a life that is truly yours. Decide today, make money work for you, not the other way around, and watch your life shift from obligation to opportunity. If you don't plan your own life, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. Think about that for a moment. How many people go day after day, week after week, simply following the instructions of someone else? Your boss, the economy, even family expectations, without pausing to ask, what do I really want from my life? Money is not just a tool. It is a reflection of the decisions we make. Without a plan, every dollar you earn will be spent on someone else's priorities. You will find yourself working tirelessly to help fund someone else's dream while your own goals remain untouched, postponed, or forgotten. The wealthy don't leave this to chance. They plan, they map, and they act with intention. Early in my own journey, I experienced the power of planning. When I first started earning, I had no idea where my money should go. Each paycheck was fleeting, disappearing almost as soon as it arrived. I felt a constant pressure, as if I was running on a treadmill with no destination. It was only when I took a notebook, sat down, and began drafting a clear financial plan that things changed. I didn't need complex formulas or fancy software. I simply listed my income, decided how much to save, how much to invest, and what milestones I wanted to hit each year. That act of writing a plan gave me clarity. Suddenly, I could see where I was going instead of drifting aimlessly. It gave me control over my money and over my life. Now, the practical steps are straightforward but demand discipline. First, write down your financial goals, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. How much do you want to earn in a year? How much do you want to save or invest? Where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years? Second, break those goals into actionable steps. For example, set a target savings rate, allocate a portion of income to building assets, and plan for contributions to your retirement or emergency fund. Third, review and adjust your plan quarterly. Life is dynamic, and your plan must reflect changes in income, expenses, and opportunities. Consistency is the key. A plan is only as effective as your commitment to follow, measure, and refine it. When you take control and create a written blueprint for your financial life, you remove uncertainty and indecision. You stop reacting to circumstances and start leading your own journey. Every dollar becomes intentional, every decision purposeful, and every action aligned with your vision. Planning is not just about numbers, it is about designing a life you genuinely want to live. Without it, you will always be chasing someone else's vision, trapped in the cycle of living, paycheck to paycheck. Decide today to draft your financial plan, follow it diligently, and review it consistently. Lead your own life, and you will never be a guest in someone else's dreams. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Consider that for a moment. You can have the clearest vision, the most ambitious plan, and the deepest desire to build wealth, but without discipline, those plans remain nothing more than dreams. Wealth is not created by occasional bursts of effort or lucky windfalls. It is built through consistent, disciplined actions repeated day after day, month after month, year after year. I learned this lesson early in life when I watched people around me chase quick fixes, hoping that a sudden raise, a lucky investment, or an unexpected opportunity would bring them lasting prosperity. Many would earn a little, spend a little more, and wonder why they never seemed to move forward. The missing piece was not intelligence, not skill, not opportunity. It was discipline. I remember when I first committed to building my financial life. I didn't have much, but I knew I needed a system that removed guesswork and temptation. I decided that a portion of every dollar I earned would automatically go into savings and investments before I could even think of spending it. This automation was the essence of discipline. It wasn't glamorous or exciting. There were no immediate rewards or applause. But over time, that steady, disciplined habit began to compound. Each month, my savings grew. My investments started earning. And I began to feel a sense of control over my life that I had never known before. That is the power of discipline. It transforms small, seemingly insignificant actions into monumental results over time. The practical steps are simple but require commitment. Start by automating your finances. Determine a fixed percentage of your income to allocate for savings, investments, and living expenses. For example, decide that 70% of your income will cover your living costs, 10% will go to active investments, 10% to passive assets, and 10% to giving or contribution. The numbers themselves are flexible. What matters is consistency and sticking to your allocations regardless of emotional impulses or temporary desires. Make it non-negotiable, like brushing your teeth every morning. Discipline turns the automatic into the habitual, and habit is the engine of wealth. Discipline also extends beyond finances. It governs how you invest in yourself, how you manage your time, and how you act on opportunities. Wealthy people don't rely on motivation, which fluctuates with mood. They rely on systems, routines, and rules that produce results consistently. When you discipline yourself to save first, invest first, and make every dollar intentional, you build a bridge from your present to the future you desire. Without it, goals remain dreams, and dreams fade under the weight of distraction and temptation. Decide today to create systems that enforce discipline, automate your finances, and honor the allocations you set. Discipline is not a burden. It is the pathway to freedom, control, and lasting accomplishment. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Let that sink in, because it is a truth that separates those who live paycheck to paycheck from those who build lasting wealth. Money can always be earned again, but once time passes, it is gone forever. I learned early in life that working harder alone is not the path to financial freedom. There is a limit to what one person can do in a day, a week, or a month. The wealthy understand this principle deeply. They don't trade every hour of their life for money. Instead, they leverage systems, people, and technology to multiply the value of their time. I recall when I first tried to do everything myself, answering phones, writing proposals, bookkeeping, and delivering presentations. I was exhausted, yet my income barely increased. Then a mentor challenged me. Are you using your time for the highest value work only, or are you busy doing things that others could do for you? That question changed everything. I realized that to grow wealth, I needed to step into strategic thinking, relationships, and investments while delegating routine tasks. I began hiring help, outsourcing certain functions, and later implementing systems that allowed work to continue even when I wasn't present. My time became my most precious asset, and I began to see results multiply, not linearly, but exponentially. The practical steps are straightforward. Identify low-value tasks in your life that consume energy but not results, and delegate them, whether it's administrative work, errands, or repetitive tasks. Find a way to have someone or something handle it. Automation tools, software, and online systems can reduce friction and free your time for activities that produce higher returns. Spend your energy on strategy, networking, skill building, and investment decisions. Ask yourself constantly, if I do this myself, am I using my time at maximum value? This approach also extends to investments. Wealthy people build systems that earn money while they sleep. Rental properties, online businesses, intellectual property. Each of these is a leverage tool that works even when they are not actively involved. By designing systems that produce results independently, you free your hours for growth, opportunities that create more wealth, more freedom, and more choice in life. Remember, working long hours is not the same as working smart. To truly move from paycheck to prosperity, you must protect your time as fiercely as you protect your money. Delegate, automate, and leverage so that your life is spent creating value, not just completing tasks. Time invested wisely compounds into freedom, opportunity, and financial abundance, far more than money alone ever can. Decide today to multiply your time, not just your money, and watch how leverage transforms your life. The major value in life is not what you get. The major value in life is what you become. Think about that for a moment, because it is a principle too many people overlook. People chase money, promotions, and material possessions as if they were the ultimate prize, yet all of it is fleeting if the person behind it is not prepared to handle what comes with it. True wealth is not merely a balance in a bank account. It is a reflection of the character, discipline, and mindset of the person who earned it. I have learned that money follows personal growth. The moment you focus on becoming the kind of person capable of creating, managing, and multiplying wealth, the money tends to follow naturally. Early in my journey, I thought that earning more would solve all my problems. I worked long hours, took every opportunity that came my way, and yet the results were inconsistent. Then I realized that it wasn't about working harder, it was about becoming better. I began to examine my habits, my decision-making, and my mindset. I studied integrity, resilience, long-term thinking, and self-discipline. I made a daily commitment to small, consistent improvements, reading, learning, and applying knowledge. I learned to delay gratification, to invest wisely, and to plan ahead. Every wise choice, no matter how small, became a building block for bigger financial opportunities. The practical steps are simple yet powerful. Start by cultivating habits that strengthen character and decision-making. Choose integrity over convenience, responsibility over impulse, and learning over complacency. Apply these habits in your financial life. Pay bills on time, save consistently, avoid debt that doesn't create value, and make deliberate investment decisions. Each day ask yourself, what small financial choice can I make today that builds the person capable of managing greater wealth tomorrow? These micro decisions create compounding results, not only in money, but in skill, judgment, and confidence. Resilience is another critical component. Wealth building is rarely a straight path. Market changes, unexpected expenses, and life challenges will test your resolve. The person you become, disciplined, adaptable, patient, and forward-thinking, is what allows you to navigate these challenges successfully. A small financial misstep can become a lesson instead of a catastrophe if you have developed the mindset of someone who learns, grows, and moves forward. Remember, money is a byproduct, not the main event. By focusing on becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts, multiplies, and protects wealth, you position yourself to seize opportunities others cannot see. Personal growth lays the foundation for financial freedom. Your habits, character, and daily choices are far more valuable than any paycheck. Commit today to becoming the person capable of handling wealth, and you'll discover that money is not a pursuit. It is a natural result of who you are becoming. Don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations and the demands to perform are high. This is a principle I have seen shape lives over and over again. You see, we become the average of the people we spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with people who settle for mediocrity, fear risk, or avoid learning, it is nearly impossible to develop the mindset and habits necessary for lasting wealth. Environment is not just about comfort, it is about challenge. It pushes you, tests you, and forces you to stretch beyond what you believe you are capable of. I have often said that your income rarely exceeds your personal development, and one of the fastest ways to accelerate your development is by choosing the right people to learn from and grow with. Early in my career, I worked alongside people who were content with small paychecks and predictable routines. I admired their stability, but I also realized that their limitations could easily become mine if I didn't seek a different circle. I deliberately sought mentors, colleagues, and friends who had bigger visions, who thought in terms of opportunities instead of obstacles, and who treated setbacks as lessons rather than failures. Their energy was contagious, their habits instructional, and their expectations a silent coach that pushed me further than I could have pushed myself alone. I quickly learned that ambition, financial intelligence, and personal responsibility are nurtured by association, not isolation. Practically, you can take deliberate steps to position yourself in a high-growth environment. Join investment clubs where members discuss opportunities, analyze strategies, and hold each other accountable for their financial goals. Participate in mastermind groups where ambitious individuals challenge each other to think bigger, plan smarter, and take calculated risks. Even online forums or professional networks can serve as incubators for ideas if approached with intention. The key is not just to be present, but to actively engage, ask questions, offer insight, share experiences, and most importantly, absorb the mindset of those who are consistently performing at a higher level. Your environment will also teach you about accountability. When others expect results and see you as capable of achieving them, you naturally raise your standards. The wealthy do not rely on luck or wishful thinking. They create systems and relationships that propel them forward. Surrounding yourself with people who challenge you to perform is a form of leverage that multiplies your efforts without increasing your workload. Remember, growth is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Wealth is as much a product of your inner circle as it is of your personal choices or income level. By deliberately seeking a community of ambitious, financially savvy individuals, you accelerate your learning, refine your decision-making, and position yourself to seize opportunities others cannot see. Choose your crowd carefully. Your future self will thank you. Discipline yourself to save before you spend and invest before you consume. This simple phrase holds the power to transform ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. I cannot stress enough that most people earn and immediately spend chasing momentary pleasures, instant gratification, or the approval of others. They live paycheck to paycheck, thinking that wealth is about how much they make rather than how wisely they manage what comes in. The truth is, wealth is not an event, it is a habit. And those habits are forged in the decisions you make every single day about your money. Saving first, investing before spending, is not deprivation, it is empowerment. It is telling the world that you are in control, that your life is designed by your vision rather than by your impulses. When I first learned this principle, I was completely broke. I had no savings, no plan, and very little hope that I could create financial freedom. I remember my mentor asking me, "Jim, have you ever saved even 10 cents from every dollar?" I hadn't. And in that moment, I realized that wealth is not about income, it is about decisions. That one small habit, deciding to pay yourself first, became the foundation of every financial success I have ever had. The 70-30th rule is a practical embodiment of this wisdom. Living on 70% of your income forces self-discipline, but it also creates room for growth. Allocating 20% toward investments, whether in stocks, real estate, or your own education, puts your money to work, creating compounding effects over time, and dedicating 10% to contribution or charity is equally essential. It keeps you grounded, teaches generosity, and opens channels of opportunity you cannot anticipate. The key to sustaining this discipline is automation. When I first implemented it, I manually tried to divide my income, and temptation often won. Today, automatic transfers, scheduled contributions, and systematic allocations make this habit effortless. You remove the daily battle between desire and discipline and replace it with a system that aligns with your long-term vision. Saving before spending is not about limiting your enjoyment. It is about prioritizing freedom, security, and abundance over fleeting satisfaction. Every dollar you save and invest before consuming is a vote for your future self. It compounds over time, not just in wealth, but in confidence, stability, and options. Discipline in money management builds discipline in thought, decision-making, and life. Those who master this principle learn to delay gratification, seize opportunities, and create wealth that lasts. If you take nothing else from this, remember this: pay yourself first, invest before you consume, and live on purpose. That discipline, repeated day after day, will change your life. You must take personal responsibility. You cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. This statement holds the core truth of wealth creation. Far too many people spend their lives blaming the economy, their bosses, or circumstances for their financial struggles. They watch others succeed and claim it's luck, timing, or connections. And yet, the reality is that wealth is less about external conditions and more about internal decisions. Your results, whether poverty or prosperity, are the sum of your choices, your habits, and the accountability you take for yourself. I remember early in my life feeling overwhelmed by my debts and the seeming impossibility of financial freedom. I could have blamed my low salary, my lack of education, or the economic climate, but every time I did, I felt powerless. It wasn't until I started taking personal responsibility that I realized true change begins within. I began by tracking every cent that came in and went out. I recorded my expenses, analyzed them, and realized how much was wasted on impulses or unnecessary luxuries. That simple act of awareness was transformative. Once I faced the numbers honestly, I could make deliberate adjustments. The next step was planning. If debt existed, I didn't ignore it or hope it would disappear. I created a structured payoff schedule, prioritizing high-interest obligations first, and committed to it with unwavering discipline. Each payment became a milestone, a small victory that built momentum and reinforced my confidence. Responsibility isn't just about recording numbers. It's about setting targets, executing a plan, and adjusting when circumstances shift. This principle extends beyond numbers. Personal responsibility touches every area of life: career choices, education, relationships, and health. Wealthy people understand that the wind may blow, markets may fluctuate, and seasons may change, but they control their actions, their mindset, and their discipline. Every decision to save, invest, or improve skills compounds over time, creating financial outcomes that are far beyond immediate circumstances. By consistently reviewing income and expenses monthly, you develop a habit of self-accountability. You spot patterns, eliminate waste, and reallocate resources to opportunities that grow your wealth. Responsibility also creates resilience. When setbacks occur, unexpected bills, market dips, or emergencies, those who have embraced this principle respond strategically rather than panicking or blaming others. They see challenges as signals to adapt, not as reasons to quit. Remember, your financial destiny is not determined by luck, inheritance, or external events. It is determined by the decisions you make, the discipline you practice, and the responsibility you accept for your life. Taking ownership transforms fear into confidence, chaos into control, and scarcity into opportunity. Wealth is not a passive outcome, it is an active reflection of your accountability. Take the first step today. Track, plan, adjust, and commit. Own your financial life completely, because no one else will, and your future self will thank you. Eliminate lifestyle creep before it starts. This is one of the most overlooked yet powerful principles in wealth building. Far too often, people celebrate a raise, a bonus, or a promotion by immediately upgrading their lifestyle, buying a bigger house, a newer car, or indulging in luxuries. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying life, the danger lies in allowing your spending to grow at the same pace as your income. When you do this, the gap between earning and saving disappears, and with it, your opportunity to create lasting wealth. The fastest path to financial freedom is not in how much you make, but in how much you retain and multiply. I remember when I first experienced a substantial increase in income early in my career. I was tempted to spend it all on conveniences, entertainment, and status symbols. I had to pause and ask myself, do I want temporary pleasure or long-term freedom? That pause changed everything. I decided to maintain my current standard of living for at least 6 months before making any new purchases. During that period, I directed the extra income toward investments, savings, and building assets. The result wasn't just money in the bank, it was momentum. The habit of restraint created a mindset of intentionality, one that would serve me for decades. Practical application is simple but powerful. Whenever your income rises, make a conscious decision not to adjust your lifestyle immediately. Wait for at least 6 months. Use this window to funnel the extra funds into investments that grow, such as stocks, bonds, rental properties, or even skills that increase your earning potential. Track your progress and watch how the gap between earning and spending begins to compound, turning modest increases into significant wealth over time. This principle also protects against a psychological trap, the belief that happiness comes from consumption. By resisting lifestyle creep, you train yourself to find contentment in what you already have while leveraging your additional income to secure your future. The wealth you create then becomes a tool for freedom, choice, and peace of mind rather than a reflection of fleeting wants. Wealth is rarely built by impulsive spending. It is created by disciplined decisions, consistency, and patience. Every dollar you retain and wisely allocate today is a brick in the foundation of tomorrow's financial security. By mastering your habits, not just your income, you gain control over your financial trajectory. Remember, the gap between what you earn and what you spend is sacred. Protect it, nurture it, and let it work for you. Wealth grows quietly, patiently, and powerfully when lifestyle creep is eliminated. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. I have said this countless times because it is one of the most important truths in building lasting wealth. You see, a degree or certificate can help you earn a paycheck, but it is continuous self-education, learning about money, markets, business, and human behavior that multiplies your earning potential and sets the foundation for true financial freedom. The wealthy understand that learning does not stop when school ends. It is a lifelong pursuit. They actively seek knowledge that allows them to make smarter decisions, invest wisely, and spot opportunities before others do. I remember when I first started out, I had very little money, very few connections, and certainly no formal training in business or investing. What I did have was a willingness to learn every single day. I spent hours reading books, attending seminars, and absorbing lessons from mentors who had walked the path before me. Every idea, every principle I learned, I applied immediately. It was not just theoretical, it was practical knowledge that compounded over time. The difference between people who stay in the paycheck cycle and those who create wealth is often how much effort they put into educating themselves consistently. Practical steps to apply this principle are straightforward but require discipline. Dedicate at least 30 minutes each day to financial learning, whether it's reading a book, listening to a podcast, or watching educational content. Focus on subjects that will enhance your ability to multiply money. Investing in stocks or real estate, understanding cash flow, business strategy, and market trends. Keep a notebook of lessons and ideas and write down how you can immediately implement them. Surround yourself with people who are financially ahead of you. Wealth is as much about the company you keep as it is about the choices you make. Attend seminars, mastermind groups, or online forums where successful investors and entrepreneurs share their experience. Ask questions, observe patterns, and model their habits. When you learn from those who are already achieving what you aspire to, you shortcut mistakes and accelerate growth. Another practical habit is to turn knowledge into action. Reading without implementation is entertainment, not education. Apply what you learn step by step, starting small, if needed. Open an investment account, create a side business, or experiment with skills that can generate income. Each small action compounds, much like the money you invest, and builds confidence, competence, and ultimately, wealth. Remember, wealth is not a momentary event. It is a lifelong journey of learning, applying, and refining. Formal education may help you survive, but self-education allows you to thrive. Your willingness to invest in your financial intelligence today will pay dividends for decades. So, make a commitment. Read, listen, observe, and act every single day. Knowledge without application is wasted, but knowledge turned into consistent action becomes your most powerful tool for lasting prosperity. Every choice you make, whether it involves money, time, or energy, should be evaluated through the lens of its potential payoff. Thinking like an investor transforms ordinary decisions into opportunities for growth, compounding, and future freedom. I remember when I first started my journey, I had very little capital and even less confidence. Every dollar spent was a potential risk. But I began asking, what can I invest in that will give me more tomorrow? I bought books, attended seminars, and invested in mentors' wisdom. Each of these decisions had a clear, expected return. Knowledge, skills, and contacts that would pay off far beyond their immediate cost. This mindset made every expense a potential investment and every investment a calculated step toward independence. The philosophy here is simple but profound. Money, time, and energy are all forms of capital. How you allocate them determines whether you remain trapped in the paycheck cycle or move toward prosperity. The wealthy do not view spending as consumption. They view it as an opportunity to create value. They analyze, calculate, and sometimes take small, calculated risks because they understand that returns compound over time. They recognize that doing nothing is the riskiest choice of all because inflation, lost opportunities, and stagnant skills erode potential. Practical steps to implement this mindset start with evaluating every decision. When considering a purchase, ask, will this item or service increase my skills, expand my network, or generate income? If the answer is yes, you are thinking like an investor. Apply the same to time. Allocate hours to reading, learning, or networking before mindless entertainment. Apply it to energy. Spend it on projects or relationships that provide long-term benefit rather than fleeting satisfaction. Keep a simple journal of every financial, time, and energy decision and the expected return. Review it weekly to refine your choices and see patterns of high-value investments. Another step is to adopt small-scale experimentation. Treat your decisions like mini investments. Try new strategies, track the outcomes, and reinvest what works. Over time, you develop a portfolio of actions, habits, and strategies that continually multiply your returns. The compounding effect of these choices, not just money, but knowledge, connections, and skills, will build a fortress of wealth around your life. Remember, thinking like an investor is not about avoiding spending. It is about aligning every action with a long-term vision of growth and prosperity. When you shift your mindset from affordability to potential return, you start seeing opportunity where others see cost. You stop being a consumer of life and become a creator, a strategist, a builder of lasting wealth. So start today. Measure every choice by its return, track it, learn from it, and let this investor mindset guide every step. Wealth is not just made by earning, it is made by wisely allocating every form of capital you have. Let me take you into this step by step. You see, most people look at financial statements, market charts, or cash flow reports and see only numbers. They see columns, percentages, or graphs and think, this is boring, or I'll leave that to the accountant. But here's the truth. Those numbers are not just numbers. They are a story about your life, your choices, your opportunities, and yes, your risks. And the moment you begin reading them as a narrative, you begin to understand the language of wealth, because money speaks, but only those who listen can hear it. When I first started, I was broke, and I didn't understand much about financial statements. I was terrified of looking at them because I feared what they would reveal. But then, I decided to face the numbers directly. I opened my income and expense statements, my investments, and my bills, and I read them line by line. Slowly, the story emerged. I could see where money was leaking, where habits were costing me more than I realized, and where opportunities for growth were hiding in plain sight. Numbers were no longer intimidating. They became guidance. Think about it. Every asset, every liability, every income stream tells you something. A high return on an investment is a chapter about success. A low cash reserve is a cautionary tale. And a growing debt is a warning sign that demands attention. When you read these stories consistently, patterns emerge. You can anticipate trouble, identify opportunities, and make informed decisions rather than guesses. Reading the numbers transforms confusion into clarity. Practical application matters. Begin with the basics. Track your monthly cash flow. Know your income, expenses, and savings. Examine investment reports carefully. Don't just glance at them. Ask questions. What story is this number telling me? Why is it here? How can I improve it? Over time, you'll recognize trends and understand not only the health of your finances, but the trajectory of your wealth. Remember, financial literacy is not about memorizing figures. It's about understanding the narrative those figures reveal. The wealthy see the story behind every balance sheet, every market report, and every financial ratio. They don't react impulsively, they act strategically, guided by the insight hidden in the numbers. So, make a commitment today. Stop seeing numbers as intimidating, start seeing them as stories. Learn to read them fluently, and you'll begin to navigate your financial life with confidence, clarity, and control. The story your money tells can lead you to freedom, but only if you take the time to read it carefully. Let's talk about something that separates those who merely work for money from those who truly build wealth, creating income streams that outlive you. Many people spend their entire lives trading hours for dollars, thinking that a paycheck is the pinnacle of security. But the truth is, your time is limited. No matter how high your salary, it ends when you stop working. Real wealth comes from designing income sources that keep flowing, even when you're not actively showing up. Think about it like planting a tree. You water it, care for it, and nurture it over the years. Eventually, it grows strong and begins to bear fruit year after year. You don't have to water it every day to enjoy its harvest once it's matured. Assets that generate royalties, rent, dividends, or business profits work the same way. The effort you put in today builds a foundation that produces returns long after you've moved on. When I first understood this principle, I realized I couldn't rely solely on my speaking engagements or seminars. Those were active income. They demanded my time and energy. I began investing in assets, rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, and small businesses. Each one was carefully chosen for its ability to generate consistent, reliable income. Over time, I witnessed the magic of these streams working for me, compounding and growing while I focused on new opportunities. Practical steps matter here. Begin by identifying assets that align with your knowledge and interests. Real estate can produce rental income. Stocks and mutual funds can pay dividends. Intellectual property, like books, courses, or patents, can produce royalties. Even small investments made consistently can snowball into meaningful income over decades. The key is to start now, while you still have the time and energy to build them. Think generationally. When you create these income streams wisely, they don't just benefit you. They provide security and opportunity for your children, your family, and those you care about. Wealth that lasts is not about showing off or spending lavishly today. It's about building something enduring, something that carries forward the values, security, and freedom you've worked so hard to create. So, the question you must ask yourself is this: are you working for money that stops when you do, or are you building income that continues to flow, empowering you and those you love for years to come? True prosperity is found in what keeps producing long after you've laid the groundwork. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reach the close of our time together, I want you to pause for a moment and really absorb what we've discussed. Building wealth is not a matter of luck, inheritance, or a sudden windfall. It is the outcome of deliberate decisions, disciplined actions, and the right mindset. Every principle we've explored today, from redefining the purpose of money to creating income streams that outlive you, is designed to help you shift from living paycheck to paycheck toward a life of lasting prosperity. True wealth is not simply the accumulation of dollars. It is the freedom to make choices, the ability to invest your time where it matters most, and the security that comes from knowing your future is within your control. I want you to understand this. Small, consistent steps create extraordinary results. You don't need a sudden miracle, you need a clear plan, persistence, and the willingness to act. Start by defining exactly what financial freedom looks like for you. Write it down, make it vivid, and let it guide every financial decision you make. Automate your investments, prioritize saving before spending, and guard against lifestyle inflation. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, educate you, and inspire you to grow. Treat every dollar as a soldier working for your future rather than a tool to satisfy immediate wants. But beyond managing money, you must invest in yourself. Build the habits, the knowledge, and the character that allow wealth to stick. Read, learn, and grow every day. Let your skills, relationships, and mindset compound just like your money. Remember, money without discipline and integrity is a liability. True wealth multiplies when it rests in capable hands. Now, I challenge you to take action. Don't leave this room thinking, I'll start tomorrow. Start today. Open a new savings or investment account. Draft your financial plan. Identify one area where you can create a passive income stream. Eliminate one unnecessary expense and redirect it to your future. Every small action adds momentum, and momentum leads to breakthroughs. Finally, remember this: wealth is not the goal itself. Freedom is. Financial freedom allows you to live life on your terms, contribute generously, and leave a legacy. So, take responsibility for your life, make your money work for you, and commit to the process of growing, not just your income, but your vision, your discipline, and your impact. The path to prosperity is in front of you. Walk it with purpose. And the life you've always dreamed of will not remain a dream. It will become your reality.